What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We're back here for yet another episode, and we are bringing you guys a line video. And in today's video, we're going to be going over the top 3 most popular or main fishing lines in bass fishing. Now, pretty much the top 3 are monofilament right here. Most people just call it mono. Flourocarbon right here. Flouro. And then probably one of the most popular, if not the, Braid right here. And I'm going to be going over kind of what they are, why they're good for what they are meant for, when you use them, and then we'll wrap up today's video. Alrighty guys, so we're going to dive right into monofilament. Now this is probably one of the least used lines in bass fishing, especially for typical fishermen who are out there fishing with jigs, crankbaits, some topwater baits, and now tons of swim bait guys. If you're throwing big swim baits or you're out in California or something, I believe those guys use a lot of monofilament because it stretches quite a bit. It's the most stretched line out there, if that makes any sense to you guys. But Braid doesn't stretch, obviously, because it's just woven thread. Yeah. And then fluorocarbon doesn't stretch as much, but monofilament stretches a lot. And when you're throwing big, heavy baits that cost hundreds of dollars, you don't want to break off. And so a lot of people throw monofilament when using big swim baits, and because it allows for, if you get a backlash, it stretches out and kind of eases up on the knot, so the knot doesn't break with your bait on the other line and your bait goes sailing. But so other than swim bait fishing, not a lot of people use monofilament unless it comes on a small little child's rod at Walmart or something. But most people don't use this. Some do for topwater, like topwater poppers, spook baits, maybe some whopper ploppers, some stuff like that. Hard topwater baits, not frogs, but hard topwater baits. Most people use monofilament. Again, it's just it has a lot of stretch, and monofilament floats on top of the water, so it's not good for crankbaits, not good for bottom baits because it'll make them float up, and you don't want that when you're bottom fishing. So again, most people don't use this unless it comes with the rod you bought, or you're swim bait fishing, or throwing some hard topwater baits. Alright guys, so we're now going to dive into some fluorocarbon right here. Now most people use this for crankbaits and bottom baits. Nobody, unless you're a very new bass fisherman, nobody uses fluorocarbon for topwater baits. And the reason why is because fluorocarbon sinks. And the reason why with bottom baits and crankbaits is because if you use fluorocarbon on crankbaits, you can get it a little bit deeper than what the bait is supposed to run. And for bottom baits, it will keep the bait on the bottom, rather than if you were fishing monofilament, then the bait would float up a little bit more, and fluorocarbon will keep it on the bottom, keep it down there in the strike zone, and you will catch fish. But again, fluorocarbon, it doesn't have as much stretch. Most people use crankbaits, bottom baits, jigs, Texas rigs, and that kind of thing. If you're flipping heavy cover, people will use it 17 to 25 pound, and people also use it for swim baits, because this will also keep the swim bait down rather than coming up like a wake bait. It will keep it down a little bit, maybe a foot and a half down under the water, or even deeper, rather than it coming up with monofilament coming up and acting kind of more of as a wake bait in the first foot of water. So that's kind of like monofilament and fluorocarbon. Now let's get into Braid. Alright guys, so now we're going to dive straight into probably one of the most popular, if not the most popular, types of fishing line. And if you guys don't know what this is right here, this is Braid. Now most people who use this are either fishing muddy water or fishing near grass, and those are really two of the most highly used situations when fishing with braid, and especially for me, because I'm down here in the south where we've got lots of lakes and ponds and creeks and everything that have grass in them, and it's very nice to have this braid. If you guys don't know what braid is, it's like woven strands of line, or I don't know exactly what it is, or nylon or something, but it's like most braid is like 8 strands, and it's like woven together, and it makes almost like a saw pattern. Like it goes in and out of everything, and that twistingness and braidness and whatever you want to call it, it cuts through grass very easy. So a lot of people use it for lipless crankbaits, they'll use it for frogs, flipping, punching, throwing chatterbaits in grass, spinnerbaits, whatever you want to do. Mostly I use it for almost anything, because tons of my ponds have grass, and it's really nice to be able to not worry about your line with fluorocarbon and monofilament. Just have this one kind of line on almost all my rods, and be able to fish down here anywhere in the south. Now, if I need super clear line, I'll put super clear line on. But most of my ponds and everything, you have to have braid, because there's just too much grass. And the little the woven strands and everything cuts through grass amazing, and you can get those fish out of there super easy. And another thing is, braid is also a lot smaller, but it's a lot heavier duty. Like, this is 50-pound test Power Pro braid, and it has a 12-pound diameter. So if you go and look at some fluorocarbon right here, and it's 12-pound fluorocarbon, these two lines right here should have the exact same diameter, and so you can get a lot more braid there, and it's a lot smaller diameter, so we'll go through your guides easier, you can cast farther with it and everything like that. So yeah, it's really great stuff. I love it. But again, I hope you all enjoyed today's video. I'm sorry if I talked a lot, but I'm actually about to go head to Academy and take $20, and I'm gonna go pick out some fishing lures and go fishing with them, and do a little fishing challenge. So you guys stay tuned for tomorrow's video, and I'll catch you guys on the next episode of LMB Nation. Peace, guys.